A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. A2. All right, let's go through and take a look at the melody for the gypsy jazz version of Jerry Reed's Jiffy Jam. Try to say that 5 times fast because it's a tongue twister. I forgot to mention that there is a backing track at the end of this video for you to be able to play along with while practicing the melody and working on your chords and such. It's me playing the rhythm guitar and the bass guitar, that's it. There's no melody or anything. So have fun with that backing track. Have fun trying to improvise to it as well. The first thing I'm going to do is play the A section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, so that was the A section without the repeat. Let's go through and look at each little motive that you can practice in the A section. Okay, so here's the first motive. Sounds like this. It's in measure 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, it's just that much. The second motive that you could practice comes in on the and of 4 in measure 1 and ends on beat 4 in measure 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now let's look at the third motive that you can practice. It comes in on the and of 4 in measure 2 and is going to end on beat 4 in measure 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Now the last motive is just measure 4 by itself. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's all it is. Those all represent logical pieces of information that you can practice on your own before putting it all together. Let's go with motives 1 and 2 first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so now I'm going to put motives 2 and 3 together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to put motive 3 and 4 together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you can put 2 motives together, you can go back and do 3 at a time or try to do the entire phrase, which is measures 1 through 4. Let's do that, see what it sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, that's the first phrase of the A section. Now let's take a look at the second phrase. And the second phrase starts in measure 5. The first motive of the second phrase of the A section is exactly like the first motive that we played in the A section. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. The next motive of phrase 2 is exactly like phrase 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the next 2 measures do have a little bit of difference to them. There's new licks and they resolve to E. It comes in on the and of measure 6 into measure 7. So we're going to come in on the and of 6 and play all of measure 7 as the next motive. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the last motive is measure 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again with that motive, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go ahead and put motives 1 and 2 from the second phrase, which is basically measures 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now let's put the second motive and the third motive from phrase 2, which is basically the pickup into measure 6 and measure 7. Let's put those 2 things together. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now let's put the last 2 motives of phrase 2 of the A section, which is going to be measure 7 and 8, or the pickup into measure 7 and measure 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go through and put that entire phrase together, which is going to be measures 5 through 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now the last thing to do with your practice routine is to put the entire A section together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. One. Have fun. Okay, so let's get on to the B section, playing basically the pickup into measure 10 and measure 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now the next little motive is going to be just measure 11. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next motive that we have in the B section sounds very much like the first motive. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a little bit of a rhythmic variation there. Now the last motive of this first phrase of the B section is the last beat of measure 12 and measure 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now if you're going to put the first two motives together, putting them together would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we're going to put measure 11 and measure 12, the first motive containing a measure 12, together, ignoring the fourth beat of measure 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Now let's put measures 12 and 13 together. These two motives are going to sound great together. 2, 3, 4, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we're going to put all motives together. So we'll start and measure the pickup into measure 10 all the way through measure 13 with the exception of the last note of measure 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now let's get into the second phrase, which is the pickup into measure 14 through all of beat 3 in measure 14, ignoring the last note of measure 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next motive in measure 15 is the exact same one in measure 14. If you can already play it, you can skip measure 15 and go straight to measure 16. So that motive in measure 16 is going to be the pickup from measure 15, or the last note of measure 15, into measure 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the last motive is going to be the pickup into measure 17 and all of measure 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do two motives at a time. Pick up into 14 all the way through measure 15 so that we can get used to playing that same motive back to back. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's take the motive in measure 15 and put it with measure 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's put the motives from measure 16 and 17 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's put all of the second phrase for the B section. This is the pickup into 14 all the way through 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, a 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so let's put together all of the B section. A 1, 2, 3, 4, a 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we'll go back to the A section again. So let's get the techniques down in order to play the rhythm guitar for this arrangement of Jiffy Jam by Jerry Reed. We are going to be using a style called La Pompe, which comes from the gypsy jazz tradition of Django Reinhardt and all of the other great gypsy jazz guitar players. In this tradition, the rhythm guitar is pretty much the drum set and the harmonic substance of each tune. In order to get that rhythmic feel, we have to make sure that the chords have a strong sense of time and there's something danceable about what you're playing. In this particular version of Jiffy Jam, I chose to use quarter notes all the way through so that we can make it simple and easy for you and your friends to get together and play this arrangement if you want to do that. So a few rules of thumb to know as you're playing chords in this style of music. If you have a chord that typically has open strings in it, you probably want to avoid them. So like the E that we're playing in the beginning of the arrangement has the option for having a low E and these high E notes to be in it. You do not want those to ring out because you want to keep the rhythmic feel going without the open strings coming through. That just does not sound good for this style of music. Now the other rule of thumb that you want to lean into is the idea that when you're playing chords that have options for higher notes, like the A major 6 add 9, you could play that chord with this high A and this high E in it. The high E is actually there sometimes, but that high A is not at all ever there. If you played the chord like this, those higher notes are going to get in the way of the melody and the improvisations of whoever's trying to solo at the time. So you lean into the bottom part of the chords with your right hand. So I'll play through the first couple of chords. See, I am really just hitting the bottom 4 strings for the most part. Every now and then, I'll catch that higher note, but most of the time it's the bottom 4. This leaves room for the melody. So an easy way to get a danceable rhythm for this particular style of music is having long, short quarter notes. We could make this rhythm more interesting by creating syncopation and doing more stuff with the right hand, but the point of this arrangement is to be easy and fun for you and your friends to be able to jam. Let me show you what I mean by long, short quarter notes. So you have long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. Okay? When you speed that up, it starts to really have a nice swinging type feel. I did this arrangement at 100 BPM, so I'm going to turn on the metronome and demonstrate the chords one time through the entire form, just so you can see and get a good strong reference point for what this should sound like when you're trying to learn it to get the stylistically correct rhythmic feel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Second A, about to go to B. B section. So you can play this at any tempo that you'd like. If 100's a little too slow, speed it up. If 100 is a little too fast, slow it down. Just keeping that long, short aspect of your rhythmic playing is going to help stylistically as you develop. Have fun. So let's go over the chords for Jiffy Jam. The first chord that we have is an E major. It's written into the chart, whereas you have the low E, the second finger on the B on the 5th string, the third finger on the E on the 4th string, and the first finger on that G sharp on the 3rd string. We are avoiding, in the chart, it avoids the high B and the high E. You definitely need to avoid those strings. That's a must. When I'm playing this arrangement, I actually mute the low 6th string E and do not let it ring either. I take my second finger, place it on the B, and let it kind of lean into the 6th string so that it does not ring. That way I can get this nice kind of crunchy and rhythmically staccato, short notes, long notes feel with the rhythm. The next chord that we're seeing in the arrangement is an E dominant 7 flat 9 over G sharp. This probably could also be called G sharp diminished. I prefer to think of it as an E dominant 7 flat 9 because it just helps my mind easier. If I don't think diminished, I just think dominant 7 with a flat 9. It makes my computations in my mind easier. So we have the note G sharp on the 4th fret of the 6th string, the note F on the 3rd fret of the 4th string, which is our flat 9. Normally F is an F sharp in E, but now we have an F natural, so it's a flat 9. We have a B with our 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and then we bar over with our 1st finger is going to hit this D, or 3rd fret, 2nd string. That's an E dominant 7 flat 9 over G sharp. The next chord in the arrangement is an A major 6 chord add 9. So we have our second finger on the 5th fret of the 6th string. Our first finger is barring both the 4th fret on the 4th string and the 4th fret on the 3rd string. That's an F sharp and a B. That's our 6th scale degree and our 9th scale degree. Then the 3rd finger comes down on the 5th fret of the 2nd string and grabs that E. Now the reason we use an add 9 is because the voice leading to the next chord sounds really great. So we got this nice consonant sound, and then when we get to the next chord, which I am calling an A dominant 7 flat 9, but could also be called an A sharp diminished or a B flat diminished. I just think A dominant 7 flat 9 with the flat 9 in the bass because it's easier to compute when I'm actually improvising. I don't have to think as much to find the lines I want. So when we move from that A major 6 add 9 to the A dominant 7 flat 9, the voice leading is really nice. There's a distinct difference between the two, and the color of the F sharp and B going up to a G and a C sharp sounds really nice. We also have with the A major 6 going from an E up to an F sharp there. So all of those voice leadings sound great when you play the rhythm guitar part. So again, with the A dominant 7 flat 9, we have the flat 9 in the bass, which is a B flat. Normally, in the key of A, B is natural, but with a flat 9, we'd have a B flat. So 6th string, 6th fret. First finger comes up and plays the 5th fret on the 4th string, which is a G. Third finger plays the 6th fret on the 3rd string, which is a C sharp. And the pinky is grabbing an F sharp up here on the 7th fret of the 2nd string. There's your A dominant 7 flat 9. So C sharp dominant 7 is C sharp, E sharp, which we call an F on the guitar most of the time, a B natural, and a C sharp. So we have 3rd finger, 4th fret on the 5th string, C sharp, 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string, which is an E sharp or an F natural. Pinky on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, which is a B. And then the first finger grabbing the C sharp on the 2nd string, 2nd fret, 2nd string. The next chord in the arrangement that we need to know is F sharp dominant 7. The notes included are F sharp, A sharp, E, and A sharp. That's 2nd fret, 6th string with the 2nd finger, 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 5th string, 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, and pinky on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. F sharp dominant 7. The next chord that we have is a B dominant 7, which is the notes B, D sharp, and A. We have a B on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, a D sharp on the 1st fret of the 4th string, and then an A on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. We have fingers 2, 1, and 3. Now for the chords that go into the B section. There's only a few new ones here, so we're just going to go over the new chords for the B section, then move on to the actual strumming techniques. So C sharp minor, we have a C sharp right here on the 4th fret of the 5th string, 3rd finger. We have an E natural with our 1st finger on the 2nd fret, E, and then our pinky plays a B or 4th fret, 3rd string. So you can play this chord two ways. Play the 3rd finger, 1st finger, pinky, or you can play 2nd finger, 1st finger, 3rd finger, like that. Either way will work. It's really up to you and what you think is most useful or comfortable for you in the context of the songs that you're playing. Now the part of the B section that has a very distinct harmonic movement to something other than E is when we come in with this C sharp minor chord first. So we have our 1st finger is barring on the 4th fret, catching the C sharp here on the 4th fret of the 5th string. And then our 3rd finger is playing an G sharp on the 6th fret of the 4th string, pinky playing a C sharp on the 6th fret of the 3rd string, and our 1st finger catching the E on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. I do not include that high G sharp when I'm playing rhythm. I just want a nice crunchy sound, so that sound works for some styles of music, but not really so much for this. You want something that is more kind of darker and crunchy so that the melody can exist over the top of it without interference from the higher notes. So we start with the C sharp, and then we keep the higher part of the C sharp in by changing our fingering to the next as C sharp minor over B. So our 2nd finger comes up to the 6th fret, catching the G sharp on the 4th string. Our 3rd finger catches the C sharp, or 4th fret on the 3rd string, and our 1st finger will catch the E, 5th fret, 2nd string, and the pinky comes along to grab the B on the 7th fret of the 6th string. That's the C sharp minor over B. The next chord, I am just calling C sharp minor over A sharp because it's just easier to think that way. So we have our 2nd finger catching the A sharp or B flat, 3rd finger now catching the C sharp on the 4th string, 6th fret, pinky catching the C sharp on the 3rd string, 6th fret, and then our 1st finger catching the E on the 5th fret, 2nd string. That chord. You see that a lot in jazz and blues, this chord right here. So the next chord is an A major 7 chord. I think it's a good choice for this arrangement because we haven't heard this chord yet, and it keeps our C sharp shape going up here on the top end of the strings. So now our 1st finger comes to play the 5th fret on the 6th string. The 3rd finger is catching the G sharp or 6th fret on the 4th string, pinky catching the C sharp or 6th fret 3rd string, and our 2nd finger is catching the E or 5th fret 2nd string. There's an A major 7. The next chord in this little harmonic movement is something new that we have not seen yet either. It is an E major 7 over G sharp. So we have a G sharp or 2nd finger, 6th string, 4th fret, E, 2nd fret, 4th string. We have a 3rd finger coming up and catching the B on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and then a D sharp caught by the pinky over here on the 2nd fret, 4th string. The next chord that we have is a C dominant 7 sharp 9 over the note G. So we have a G, or 3rd fret, 6th string, an E on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, a B flat on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, and then a D sharp is the sharp 9 on the 4th fret of the 2nd string. You can also look at that D sharp as an E flat with a C dominant 7 harmony. E flat really makes sense to me in my mind more than a D sharp. The next chord that we have is an F sharp minor. We have 2nd fret, 2nd finger, F sharp, 2nd fret, 4th string, 3rd finger, and then pinky catching 2nd fret of the 3rd string. That's an F sharp, an E, and an A. That chord leads to a B dominant 7, which we've already seen, which leads to an E, which we've already seen. Be sure to remember that you can use YouTube to slow this down if you need to a tempo that is comfortable for you, that you can both hear it clearly, understand the rhythms, and play it consistently on the guitar, speeding it up to at your pace for your skill level. Have fun. A 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4.